Hey, everybody, welcome back to Your Inside Track to Success. As always, I'm your host, Stewart Kraintz. We have another amazing guest for you this week. But before we go ahead and introduce her, please be sure to like and subscribe. Please share this out with somebody. I know that you're going to get a lot of value out of today's episode. And if you haven't heard, we are available on all platforms in which you can find your podcast. So tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell somebody that you care enough about to want to support them in leveling up their lives about all the great guests and content that we have here on the show. So without further ado, I want to jump right in and introduce this week's episode. She is a really amazing friend of myself and my wife's. She is the founder of Buff Wild Fitness, which is changing the game here in Columbus, Ohio. Not only is she an entrepreneur, but she is dedicated to supporting people in feeling good about themselves, creating more energy, vitality, wellness, mobility in their lives. Without further ado, I want to welcome Cassie Jacobs to the show. Cassie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Stu. Thank you for the introduction. Jeez. Ooh, thanks.
Yeah, I knew we had to have you on, folks. Cassie put my wife Jennifer and I through the blender, so to speak, recently, and it definitely created some results for us, especially around our nutrition. Cassie, I want to kick this off over to you. In terms of weight loss or fitness goals that people have, in your experience, what do people typically come to you looking for? And what do you feel like they actually need to hear or learn in order to create the results they want?
Oh, super good question. Really, Stu, what it comes down to is people are looking for direction. They're
Mhm.
looking for basically they want their hand held in a way that's going to empower them to create in their life long term, not just in this moment, but for long term. They need somewhere to start. And that is both fitness and that is nutrition as well. They're craving that. They want that person, the accountability. They want someone there to cheer them on, to give them support, give them loving encouragement, and also push them a little bit, push the envelope, just to make them a little bit uncomfortable and like, I don't think that's possible. So really they want a platform to start from. And that's really what I'm here for. I want to show you and everyone else like what is possible having a base.
I wanted to ask because I think your response is awesome and I agree just from personal experience. But oftentimes I feel like everybody can plan. They can plan, they can plan, they can plan, they can have the meal plan, they can go shopping at Costco, get all the ingredients for the meal
Mhm.
plan, they can figure out the workout routine, they can get buy all the outfits, they can buy the equipment, and then at the end of the day, they stay the same. And so, what do you find supports people in getting out of the planning and actually stepping into action and doing the work for themselves?
Really what it comes down to is one step at a time. People are trying to change too much too soon, all at once, all the things.
Mhm.
And if they can commit to one thing at first, that's the first step. And that could be just meeting with someone to talk about what it might look like to have a meal plan.
Mhm.
Yeah. And meal plans they can be lengthy and they can be all crazy and they can also be very simple. And that's really what people are looking for. And step 1, making that first step, reaching out, right? Saying like, "Hey, I'm looking for this." That's huge. And then a lot of my clients are like, "Oh, I can't just do all of this. Like I'm too busy," right? They have that, "I'm too busy." We get that. We're all busy. I get that. And so if you just take it slow, because guess what? Life is not a sprint. Fitness, nutrition, and health, it's not a sprint. If you're at a sprint pace, you won't even get to the finish line. So you got just one step at a time. Little baby steps. It's all just little things. And if you can only change one thing, whether it's you start walking instead of running marathons, thanks, Stu, or or it's you change what you do when you first wake up in the morning, as in, I'm going to drink a glass of water before I do anything. If that's some one small thing that you change, then that's where it gets to start from. It's just starting small and working from there, and it'll all build up, and you'll start to see people start to see often, the effect. So
I'm hearing you say starting small and starting with those little incremental wins and building up enough of those is actually how we get started on the bigger goals. Like, I want to run a marathon, or I want to lose 40 pounds or something like that.
absolutely. Yeah. Every little step is huge. It may not seem like it, but it all adds up in the end, especially if you're 40 pounds or a marathon. Yes, every little step, every little win makes a difference. And people don't actually think about that. It kind of boggles my mind, like how we don't celebrate ourselves, or how we don't encourage each other with every tiny little thing. It's like,
Yeah.
why would we not? Every little thing matters. Like, I'm gonna take it back. When we were
Mhm.
babies, like, oh my gosh, you took your very first step. Like that. Oh my gosh, you said your first word. That was a huge celebration, right? Or oh my gosh, you're eating your own food. Oh, you can hold your every little celebration will just encourage us that much more, right? Every
Yeah.
little bit.
Why do you feel that we don't celebrate ourselves?
Mm. People don't want attention, whether it's attention from their spouse or from their friends or even their family. And they actually, some things are, in people's minds, some things are too small to be considered a win, to be
Mhm.
considered like, oof, I accomplished that little thing. Oof, I took 500 more steps. Oof, I put on some clothes today. Like, people just, they don't think those little things
Yeah.
matter. And really it does.
Yeah. Something that I have talked about a lot on the show is we actually build self confidence by keeping our promises to ourselves, but only if we acknowledge ourselves for having done the thing.
Mhm.
And what that looks like is actually what you're describing. It's, hey, I showed up to the gym today. I only did maybe 5 minutes of one machine, but I showed up, and that's more than I would have done if I was at home watching Netflix. And it sounds really silly to people, but acknowledging yourself for doing the thing. Hey, I ate an apple after dinner instead of a drumstick. Or, my son Tucker, who I know loves him some Twizzlers. Like, if we
Mm.
can get him to eat an apple and peanut butter instead of some Twizzlers, that's a huge win for his health journey.
Yeah.
And compounding those over and over again, each of those small wins actually starts to shape how we view ourselves when we look in the mirror.
Mm.
And I'm curious, in the people you have worked with, I know you can't name names, but maybe what's an example of somebody whose confidence you've seen explode and then they end up doing the big thing with their goals?
Oof, I'm so glad that you asked that. And I'm going to circle back. I'm going to answer your question, but I do have permission. I'm not going to name a name, but I do have permission to share a story. 1 year ago, I started with a client. She's like, I need to lose weight. I need to be healthier. I'm just so tired. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm just the biggest I've ever been in my life. I'm just miserable. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I can't do very much too soon because I will stop doing it. And I'm like, all right. She's like, I'm only going to commit to coming to see you twice a week.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to last the whole time. Okay. She came and she worked her butt off, right? And she's like, "Oh, this is so hard." Did she vomit? Yes, just because of the changes that were happening within herself and pushing herself. And that was only one time, actually. So I don't push people to the vomit point. But my point being, I'm going to continue on. Uh, she came and she pushed herself, and that was huge for her. And she started seeing results pretty quickly. And she was like, "Okay, Cassie, all right, I'm ready for the next thing, but only one little thing, right?" I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "I'm just gonna like eat a little better for lunch." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Let's do that." And then she's like, "Oh, okay, well, this is different." And then she started eating a little better for breakfast. And then a little bit later, she started eating a little bit better for dinner. She's like, "Oof, I'm feeling a little more energized. I don't feel as sore. I'm able to snack back from working out a little quicker. I can walk around my block with my dog now."
Yeah.
And at one point, she's like, "Here I am, Cassie. I'm at a plateau and I'm getting mad." I'm like, "Okay, so let's talk about that and see where we can change some things up." And we did. And she was stuck and focused and fixated on one small number, that it was holding her back. She wasn't realizing all of the other things that she had achieved, like working out, changing her whole entire lifestyle for what she ate and how she ate, because she chose to, because she wanted to take it on.
Mm.
And at this point, she had lost 60 pounds and over
Wow.
32 inches. This was 10 months into our journey together. 60 pounds and 32 inches, Stu. That's not a small feat.
Mm-mm.
So I was reminding her of all these things that she's overcome and surpassed, and little things. She's like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yes. You're right." And then she decides to throw at me, "Hey, I got engaged."
Oh, I
And I
love
want
that.
to lose like more I want to feel and look beautiful on my wedding day. I want to feel like people tell me that I come out as, beautiful and confident and all that. I'm like, "Okay." So we talked about that, and literally in the middle of the night, like last night into today, she sent me a picture in her wedding dress and said to me, "I have never felt so beautiful."
I love that.
Yeah. She still has more she wants to do. And you could tell in her face, you could tell in the way she was standing and holding herself up, like she felt it. And for me, that's the win for me. I don't care about the number. I mean, I do care about the number, but I don't. It's not about number. It's not about inches. It's about how you feel here and how you feel for yourself.
Yeah. I think what's so special about that story is it's an example of somebody not only creating the result, but shifting how they viewed themselves, not only when they look in the mirror, but how they just view themselves as a person. And you hit on this a little bit, but I'd like to do a deeper dive.
Yeah.
Over time, especially when there's a big goal, a bigger goal typically takes a longer amount of time to complete or
Yeah.
achieve.
Hmm.
And just the way the world works, the longer that time horizon is, the more opportunities there are for things to get derailed or for obstacles to present themselves. And needless to say, I'm sure she had her obstacles that she had to overcome in order to get there. What do you feel like supported her in overcoming the obstacles, and how is that applicable to anybody on their fitness journey?
Hmm. Having somebody there to hold them accountable.
Mhm.
And what I mean about that is, yes, you might have a spouse, you might have a partner, you might have somebody there, and that same somebody can also derail you. Having somebody knowing what they're doing and understanding how to push people in, a healthy way, having that person there, and that could be your spouse and your partner, but having that accountability person there to keep you on track and to let you know, "Hey, you got this. You got it."
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times I've talked to your beautiful wife, Jen, and we're both like cheering each other on, like, nope, we got this. We can do it. And we're not even on the same path. We don't
Mhm.
even do the same thing.
Mm-mm.
And having a person there just loving you and embracing whatever is going to come up for you and falling on your face. Because I promise you, no matter what journey you're on in life, health, fitness, a new career, school, kids, a relationship, all the things, right, Stu? Like, we're going to fall on our face. We
Mhm.
are not perfect. We are not perfect specimens. And having somebody there beside you, and maybe it is a professional, maybe it is somebody who, that's what they're doing, but that's it. Having someone there.
Yeah. What do you feel like are some of the things that you've gotten to overcome in creating this career for yourself, supporting others?
Thanks for asking that question, Stu. Um, the biggest thing is really support and sharing and communicating, mostly with my spouse,
Mhm.
and understanding what I also need. Because yes, I'm here to serve, but that's not the only thing I'm here for.
Mhm.
I get to love myself. And I will be the first one to be like, oh yeah, heavens no. No, I'm not gonna love myself. I don't have time for that. I got clients, I got husband, I got kids, I got this.
Mhm.
And that, yeah, I have supporting loving myself. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely no easy feat to be an entrepreneur and be a part of a family, especially with kids.
Mm.
And so I'm curious, what does self-love look like for you currently?
Every day it's changing, Stu. I'm gonna be honest with you. Every day. Like I can coach into that. And taking my own coaching sometimes it's like, it really what it is taking time for myself. And I mean,
Mm.
like, for me, that is literally sitting down in silence, just sitting and being, whether it's in the sun, whether it's next to a fire, whether it's next to water, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours. Like, I just need a few moments to just sit and not have things going on around me. That's the biggest thing for me. I love to get my nails done. I do. I love nails, my toenails, you know. And so, I mean, it's a little different for me each week because it's just it's different. And some weeks I might need a little bit more me time. In other weeks it might be I need a little more outside time. But I do know it is time for me to disconnect from like tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hearing you say though, it's meeting yourself where you're at and providing for yourself what you need.
absolutely. Yeah.
And something else that I think is important for the listeners to hear, it doesn't have to be this big contrived thing. It doesn't have to be clearing off your calendar and doing a spa day for yourself, although I'm sure those are very nice.
Yeah, sure.
But I also think what I'm hearing you say is it's giving yourself permission to take care of yourself, to love on yourself. And I'm sure that goes a long way in terms of any fitness journey as well. I was wondering what your thoughts are on how the self love and the personal wellness, personal fitness are tied together.
At being generous with yourself is massively impactful. And I have seen a lot more results when people are generous and understanding where they were, where they are, and where they want to go. Because the more that you embrace your journey along the way and you're not stuck and focused on the outcome, like, do I want to retire and have a bajillion dollars? Well, yeah, I do. And I can't even fathom that in my mind, except maybe I'm laying on the beach, right? But I get to embrace this right here where I'm at, me and you, right here where we're at. And if I don't, I'm going to get lost. And that's what I talk with my clients about all the time. Like, embrace like this moment, embrace like this journey that you're on, because it's only a short period of time. And
Yeah.
we only get one life, right? We only get one shot. I mean, sometimes people get more than one, but yes, you have to embrace one step at a time.
I'm somebody whose weight has fluctuated immensely. I'm 6'2". I'm going to guess I'm about 220 right now. I have been as heavy as 237. I've been as light as 157, all being the same 6 foot 2 inches tall. And when I have been at the extremes in my weight, my self love has been at its lowest, whether it be from overeating, not exercising, or whether it be just stress, just unmanaged stress and
Mhm,
chaos in my life,
mhm,
causing me to stress out to the point that I was a twig of a person in my frame. Learning how to love myself. Maybe I'm not entirely where I want to be yet physically, but the fluctuations are much, much different.
mm.
And that's been something that I've been able to see firsthand. And so, with that in mind, do you think self love is something that is developed over time? Is it something that we're more prone to have in different seasons of our lives? What are your thoughts on that?
In my profession, when people come to me, self-love is actually not a thing.
Tell me more.
Yeah, for sure. It's a muscle that we get to flex. Literally, like our heart muscle, like something that we get to work on consistently. And it may not be like gushy, lovey, touching all over yourself type of self-love, but genuinely, like, what about you makes you smile? What is it that somebody else is going to say that you wouldn't say about yourself that you can start telling yourself? Embracing those moments also, because that's actually what other people see is actually when they talk like that is the truth. Like they see
Mhm,
your truth and they can tell you. And we are so guarded from everything that we've experienced in our past that they don't even see their real, honest truth of how people are seeing them.
mhm.
And it's a people just they don't love when they're on a when they're down low, right, Stu? Or even like the extremes, like when they're all one way or the other, they're blinded and don't see right here in the middle,
Mhm.
you know? Heart's right here. People are looking like up, down, all around to figure out how do I do this? How do I love this? How am I get to be like this, right? And they're not even actually looking inside themselves and being like, "Oh shoot, okay. I'm a cool creature that God created. Like I'm freaking awesome." You know?
Yeah.
They are looking for outside affirmation. And it is hard. It's hard to like tell yourself sometimes like, "Man, I'm a badass." But it takes some major work on people's parts and understanding like it's a process. It just isn't natural for people. Unfortunately, like society and life, it just people are just like, love myself. What does that even mean? No, I don't want what? I want somebody else to love me.
Here's a perspective I read recently that I think's very related to this conversation. It's that a lot of things around our health and wellness are actually a piece of control or an attempt to find control.
Mm.
Maybe in a time in our lives where we don't feel like we have a lot of control. And so when we aren't feeling good about ourselves, the article said we're more prone to eat fast food, eat unhealthy, eat a bunch of garbage, because then we have the opportunity to be right about ourselves, that we are not awesome human beings, that we are unlovable, that we are insert whatever terrible thing you could think about yourself.
Sure.
But it's actually exercising, it's getting enough sleep, it's in your case being still, it's eating healthy, it's all those things that actually are acts of self love. And allowing yourself to be the most energetic, feeling good in your body, expressed version of yourself that's actually the highest form of love, but it does require faith that by putting in the work and putting in the acts of self-love that you actually can be the person that you were born to be. And I know that that's a very philosophical way of putting it, but I know that's a very philosophical way of putting it, but I'm wondering if there's anything else you would want to add before I move on to another subject.
I do, yeah. So I'm going to go back to your fast food analogy, or, quick snack or whatever. Like, yes, it's instantly there, instantly full, instantly blah, filled up, and don't have to worry about preparing anything and on the go, 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 go. And in a relationship, whether it's with yourself, whether it's with food, whether it's with fitness, whether it's with another person, like, that takes building. That takes expanding our brain capacity, our heart capacity, our mind and spirit capacity, right?
Mhm.
It's not instant.
Mm-mm.
And the results that people are paying and continue to pay when we choose to put that immediate gratification in are detrimental.
Mhm.
Continue to be. So many research studies have shown that. Yes, it may cost a little more to care, cost a little more money, cost a little more time, cost a little bit more energy, yes, but the results are exponentially improved.
I love it. I love it. I want to switch gears here. Obviously, we're both parents. We have some very active children. How can we as adults be good role models and examples for our children in terms of health, wellness, and self love?
Great question, Stu. And it's really, first thing first, self love.
Mhm.
Honest to God answer for me and where I'm at and where I'm at with my clients and my life with my kids. It's self love. Understanding, what does that even mean? Teaching them that. I have a I have a 4-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter, totally different ends of the spectrum of growth and development and stuff, and seeing the difference in understanding and sharing with them self-love versus other people who don't have a clue what love even looks like.
Mhm.
It totally changes perspective of life and how they view different things in life. And also at the same time, like you said, self love is also food and is also movement. Now, my children, and I know that your child, very, very active. I think technology is a massive thing that is just kind of messed with society. It's
Mhm.
like kind of jacked between the tablets and the phones and the PlayStations and the Switch that and the SWAT that, whatever, all the things, right? It's made people more stationary. And teaching people to love themselves enough to get up and move. Let's go play. Let's go get outside. Let's go. And and then encouraging them to eat healthy, healthful foods. I mean, we learn it at a young age, but we don't push it enough because, the pushback that we do get, especially from our kids when they're younger, like, no, 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 no. And so
Yeah.
that leads into a lot of habits and creations that are formed getting into young adult life or their own life, just from my experience and from my own life experience and with clients. It is a thing. Like, there's some people that I know, Stu, that have never eaten peas in their life. What are their parents feeding them? Like, eat proper food. Try new things. Now, we're in Columbus, Ohio. We're in the flippin' Midwest. So
Mhm.
at certain times of the year, like, we get apples and we get corn. And there's other times where the mangoes are amazing and the cherries are super delectable, right? And so we're like other parts of the world, like in Florida and California, they have a vast majority or variety, a vast variety of options. And so, but exposing people and kids, the youth, early, it's huge. Educating them, it's huge. Moving your body, stretching, wiggling, doing what, being a little bit flowy. I know sometimes we can get like, we gotta go, and not realize that like our body is mostly water. And what does water do, Stu?
It
It just
flows.
flows. Or it doesn't. And it's just like, back and forth.
It's frozen.
It's frozen, right? So guess what? If we're frozen, nothing's moving. We're locked down. The inside of our bodies, our organs, our heart to expand the love, our brain to accept and expand the capacity of understanding of everything, it's shut down. It's locked in, right? So if we're not flowing, if we're not drinking water, water, you can't see it's water, but it's water, I promise. Like we're stuck here. We're like in this one spot. So to be flowy and to move and to allow yourself that space to just be.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question like self-love for kids, self-love and movement and nutrition. Like it's all kind of the same, but it really starts with self-love, Stu.
Yeah. And I'm hearing you also say being the example of that self love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stu, it it's okay to cry in front of your kids. Did you know that?
Yeah. Well, I know that. I don't know that everybody else knows that, but can you elaborate?
Yeah, I can. My son the other day, he said to me, "Mom, oh my gosh, your eyes are sparkling again." I was crying.
I mean that's really cute. That's that's adorable coming from a 4-year-old.
Exactly. And he's like, "Is something making you happy or sad, Mom?" And we talked about it, right? And it was actually like I was watching baptisms and
Yeah.
it made me very, very happy, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that my 4-year-old noticed like, "Ooh, Mom, you have a sparkle," but is it sad or is it happy? That he knows that and then to ask about it. Like that's what the world needs, Stu. That's what we get to teach our kids. And so our
Mhm.
kids can teach their kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, whether or not we care to admit it, our kids are always watching, right? Like kids don't learn from what we tell them to do. They learn from what they see us doing. And so
Mm-hmm.
by modeling behavior, by modeling the way we respond to things, and also just modeling the way that we take care of ourselves speaks volumes. You know,
Yeah.
Tucker, my son has begun asking to come running with me. And
Wow.
he doesn't come for the full 9 miles, 10 miles or whatever I'm doing, but he does come for a mile or two. And learning how that benefits him and how that supports him in becoming a better soccer player and
Mm.
learning that there are other movements and ways to become more athletic. There's all value to it, but he became interested in that because I do it all the time. Like I'm training for a half marathon I'm running next week and
Whoop, whoop.
thank you. Thank you. And he sees me leaving every morning before he leaves for school so that I can get the miles in before I get to go start my day. And,
Yeah.
that leaves an impression on him. And so, for anybody listening to this with small children, definitely think about how you show up because what your kids see is what they're going to basically reflect right back at you.
Mm-hmm.
They say our children are perfect mirrors of us. So Cassie, you are doing all the things. You're an entrepreneur, you're helping people transform their lives. You're a mom, you're a wife. What is currently bringing you joy in your life?
I'll be honest, Stu. I'm at a point right now where I'm so full with my schedule I am an entrepreneur and a mom and a wife, and I get to like sit back because I become all of those things all the time, and I don't do enough joyful things.
Mhm.
And so what it looks like for me when I recognize that, because every once in a while I do find myself in this like, oh shoot, I don't know what's bringing me joy right now.
Mhm.
The fact that I can lean in on myself and like think to myself and then think out loud and share it with my spouse, with my husband, who I love dearly, that actually is probably what brings me the most joy. Having someone there who encourages me as much as my spouse does.
I love that.
Mm.
Shout out to Marcus, by the way.
Marcus!
So, Cassie, we're going to have to start winding this one down, but how can folks get in contact with you, learn more about you, and possibly start their health and wellness journeys with you as well?
Great question. You can shoot me an email at buffwildfitness.com. And you can go on my website, buffwildfitness.com. BUFF, wildfitness.com. You can find me on Facebook, and I'm a little bit on Instagram, but not very much.
Folks, we will absolutely have Cassie's information readily available in the show notes and the description so that you can continue the journey with her. Also, continue to up level yourself well after you listen to this show. And so, Cassie, as we begin to wind this down, final question I ask everybody: what are you acknowledging yourself for today?
Hmm. I'm acknowledging myself for creating the space to slow down because I've been so busy and so focused on building up and providing for our family that I came crashing down. So I get to slow down.
Yeah.
And that's real weird for me. Real, real weird for me. So I'm embracing the slowing down. And I acknowledge
Yeah.
myself for allowing myself to do that because it is not easy.
Mhm.
No.
Well, it's just an undeveloped muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I better go to the gym and work that one out.
I'm sure, though, even if this is uncomfortable, you're finding that by slowing down, it's actually helping you accelerate different areas of your life.
Absolutely. It is. And realizing like, ooh, I can flow in this area a little bit, or I can flow in this area a little bit, or ooh, in my relationship, oh, with different menus, or ooh, playing with my kids. That's
Mhm.
joyful.
Mhm.
It really it is, yeah. And so stepping into different areas a little differently here and there.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Folks, definitely be sure to connect with Cassie. She is definitely somebody who's been in my corner for some time now, my wife's corner even longer, and is absolutely the right person to support you on your health and wellness journey yourself. But for now, y'all, this has been your Inside Track to Success. As always, I am your host, Stewart Kraintz. We will be back next week with another amazing guest or message. Please be sure to hit that little bell icon so you continue to get the updates as we put out more and more episodes and content. Until then, we will see you next week.